you listen, the stats are very, very clear. And the countries that publish the stats, whether it's Germany, whether it's France, whether it's Austria, whether it's Italy, whether it's Denmark, whether it's Sweden, and in Britain, we're starting to see it. The criminality rate from different nationalities is starkly different. It is
That's
true.
Inherently
per capita,
xenophobic.
the criminal.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Julian Discourse. Before we dive in, please make sure to like and subscribe. Watch what happens when Julia Hartley-Brewer corners a left-wing pundit on the catastrophic reality of illegal migration and stark crime statistics. Instead of defending the facts, watch him panic, deflect, and try to shame the audience for caring about public safety. It perfectly exposes an out-of-touch political class that values an open border ideology over the security of everyday citizens. Watch this.
Village. Can I come back to something you said earlier? Because you said you're pro-migration. What do you mean by I'm pro-migration? Because we're all talking about people illegally entering the country on rubber dinghies, sometimes, 49 foot long, as we saw over the weekend.
Now, you see, I'm somebody who believes in our responsibility as a nation. So when it comes to asylum, we have, people have the right to claim asylum. Now, for a fact, because we've talked about this many times, my issue comes when that assessment needs to be done, how quickly the assessment is done. We had 15 years of Tory austerity that stripped the Home Office of its resources. So it wasn't even able to do its basic functions. That's the problem. Now, I've got a mate whose girlfriend, right, from South America, he's Northern Irish, trying to get all of their visa paperwork done. All this. It's been 2.5 years now, Julia. That's ridiculous. We are failing as a nation because of that. And this is an issue that stems from that. My issue is not with the small boats. My issue is not with those arrivals. I like what Andy Burnham says about opening more safe routes because I would like people not to drown in the channel. But at the end of the day, I believe that people have the fundamental right, which is an international human right, to claim asylum. It is our responsibility as a nation to deal with the paperwork.
Here's the thing. Do they have, you can argue this, most of these people are economic migrants rather than claiming asylum. They've gone through numerous safe countries. If they are fleeing a country that is war-torn, the vast majority of their fellow countrymen and women are living in the countries nearby. I don't know why these people are suddenly so much more deserving of asylum in Britain than in, say, Sudan or Mauritania or wherever. It seems to me to be people have a right. A lot of those laws, they were set up at a very, very, very different time. I don't believe that people do have a right to just pick and choose. Oh, I think this is where I'll live now. I think I'm just going to live. I'm going to move to the other side of the world and I'm just going to want to live here because I live in a basket case country. I don't think that we have a duty to the rest of the world to take in every single person who's got a bad life.
I'm afraid it's only going to get worse, Julia. So we need to seriously ask ourselves, what do we want? From our values, really. In Glasgow, 30 miles from me here, you are not reporting on the grooming gangs that are white. You are not reporting on those people, right? If you were, then I would say, yes, I understand this.
We report on major crimes. We report on stories.
James, you know that you are spreading the agenda.
It's not an agenda. The point is, we already have enough of our own wrong-uns who should be dealt with far more quickly and sternly. However, I don't think the solution to having a bunch of murderers and rapists and paedophiles in Britain is, let's import some more.
It's a great line, Julia, but the majority of the people who come here are not rapists and paedophiles.
I didn't say they were. I didn't say they were. I would never have claimed that they were. I categorically stated previously on this show, the majority of people, they're committing a crime by coming to our country, but there are too many. Listen, the stats are very, very clear, and the countries that publish the stats, whether it's Germany, whether it's France, whether it's Austria, whether it's Italy, whether it's Denmark, whether it's Sweden, and in Britain we're starting to see it. The criminality rate from different nationalities is starkly different. It is true. Per capita, the criminality rate, even allowing for the fact they are younger men, largely they're men, and largely they're younger, and therefore more likely to commit crime than any other demographic. Their criminality rate of certain countries, people from certain countries, is off the scale higher than from other countries.
This belief is rooted in an idea.
It's fact.
This belief of yours is rooted in an idea, Julia, that Britain is somehow a land of milk and honey and good people, and we're all the best. And people out there, the others in other countries, are scary and savages and barbaric.
Absolute nonsense. I'm not claiming that at all.
Our country is made up of migrants, of immigrants from all over the world in every
Our country is largely made up of people whose families have lived here for hundreds of thousands of years.
We are seeing a rise of ethnonationalism.
Yeah.
We're seeing a rise of racism. We're seeing a rise of intolerance and xenophobia, Julia, and it comes back to the fact that you are scaring your listeners every day.
It's all my fault, because people have noticed there's a problem.
Not just your
fault. We're not allowed
Julia,
to notice facts. Can't notice facts. James, if you're under the illusion that the risk of somebody coming from a country where they have high levels of criminality, very, very little concern for the rights of children or women or gay people, that those people are not a bigger threat to people in this country than people coming from countries which do have similar values to us, I think you're living in cloud cuckoo land.
Well, let me say, as the feminist and lefty woke whatever amongst us, Julia, let me tell you that
you're a feminist.
I'm very much concerned.
By the way, all in favour of men who claim they're women in women's toilets, right? Feminists.
And about those values, yeah, because I believe trans women are women, Julia. That's the difference between us, yeah.
Because you believe in fairy tales.
No, because gender's a social construct and women are women. You're talking about sex, which is biological. It's completely different.
I'm talking about women.
Let's not open that can of worms. Let's finish this one first, right?
We're going to have to finish.
What I would say to you just briefly before we finish, right, is that it comes down to our basic values. Are we shirkers? Do we shirk our responsibilities in this country? No, we don't.
We don't have any responsibility. We don't have a responsibility to the rest of the world.
If somebody arrives on your doorstep and they claim they need help, you assess that claim, and if they need it, they need it. If they
James,
don't,
can I ask, can we maybe give out your personal address to any asylum seeker and you just take them in with your personal responsibility?
I will if you will. I will if you will.
No, I won't, because I know the risks. But there we are. James, deep sighs. I'd love to talk to you for longer. I just don't think I could disagree with you more on so many things. James Matthewson, former Labour Party spokesman.
Welcome back to reality. Imagine pointing out a massive leak in your roof and your landlord yells at you for complaining. That's exactly how the radical left handles the crisis of mass migration. What you just watched is the real-time exposure of an establishment that uses the word racism to cover up its own catastrophic failures. Julia Hartley-Brewer pointed out a documented reality. Crime statistics across Europe show disproportionate criminality among specific unvetted migrant demographics. The pundit's reflex was to throw out the words racism and xenophobia. This is an establishment silencing mechanism. Let's bring actual facts to the table. Look at Sweden. By 2023, they experienced a catastrophic wave of gang violence directly linked to migrant criminal networks. In September 2023, the Swedish Prime Minister had to summon the military to help police stop the violence. Or look at Denmark, where the Ministry of Justice's own data shows crime indexes for non-Western immigrants are significantly higher than the native population. When the state prioritizes political correctness over public safety, innocent people suffer. Look at the 2014 Rotherham scandal. Over 1,400 vulnerable working-class girls were abused by grooming gangs. The official inquiry explicitly stated authorities ignored the abuse because they were terrified of being labeled racist. This exchange exposes a massive disconnect. Elites preach about compassion from insulated television studios, while working-class families are left to deal with rising crime on their streets. You cannot tell voters to ignore the collapsing safety of their communities and then call them bigots when they ask for basic border control. The radical left is protecting a failing ideology, and citizens are no longer buying the spin.